So it seems like Capcom is interested in making a brand new Marvel vs. Capcom title. But what if the Power Rangers were to be DLC characters in the future game? All that and more in today's video. Let's talk about it. Hit that intro. I think it's obvious to me that ever since they announced the collection of all of the Marvel vs. Capcom titles, Marvel Superheroes versus Street Fighter, X-Men versus Street Fighter, MVC 1 and 2, including the Punisher, with all of the great features being in the game, online netcodes and online features, which is pretty much a must. But I think the bigger question is, if they were to make a new MVC title, could the Power Rangers also make great DLC characters? I think we're about to find out in this article I'm about to read to y'all, and I'm going to give you my overall thoughts on what needs to happen if a game like this needs to be announced somewhere in the future, which I believe it will. Let's get to it. This Capcom Fighting Collection spoke with Dexerto in an exclusive interview where he shed some light on the future of the VC series. In June 2024, Capcom shocked the fighting game community with an exciting and unexpected announcement in a collection of its classic Marvel vs. Capcom games for modern consoles. The news even traded on Twitter as fans rejoiced that Marvel was getting attention, with longtime fans of the franchise ecstatic to see they had a chance to play classic titles on modern hardware. Of course, this release brought up the question, does this mean another Marvel vs. Capcom could realistically happen? We got to ask the collection's producer that very question, and his answer gave us hope. The development team at Capcom has big dreams, he said. Maybe there's an opportunity for a new Marvel vs. Capcom game. Maybe there is an opportunity for a new Capcom-based SNK game. I don't know, but if that were to happen, that would take some time and effort in order to create and release those kinds of games. But the short term with what we can do now is at least reintroduce these past legacy games to our new audiences, to people who may not have the opportunity to play it because it might not be out on modern or current platforms. And I like when he said this right here, because even though you're reintroducing these classic fighting game titles to the newer audiences who never had an opportunity to play these classic titles that we had to play during our generation. So it's good to note that they're expanding the classic titles to a new generation of fighting game fans that want to play this game, and it's good to see that. What we can do at least do now is to show that, hey, these series exist. We love these games. We hope that you do too, and maybe in the future, if people get to familiarize themselves with these series, then there may be future opportunities to make bigger games. That's not all. We also quiz Masudo if there are any plans in the works for UMVC3, given that the game has a massive player base of passionate fans that have followed the title for 14 years now, many of whom really want rollback netcode. Okay, I like this because when you think about it, I've been watching Maximilian Does video in the past when he constantly brought up this game so many times, and I've seen so many people that really worked on this game, not Capcom, but the fans that get really creative of bringing characters that were missed out in the games, like Blade and all the other characters that were not in it in the first place. So if you go to his YouTube video and watch it, I think you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Maybe Capcom might have gotten inspired by those fans that they want to work with them in order to bring characters that were left out in the game in the first place into MVC3. Ultimately, MC3. I mean MV3. Excuse me. I don't know why I said that. There's a lot of things that the team wants to do, and we have a lot of love for Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Not just that, but other past fighting games that might not be supported with rollback or available on a current platform. There is a lot we're looking forward to and big dreams. And now it's a matter of timing and seeing what we can do one step at a time. And that's what I love to hear, because as a producer, you want to make sure that everything is perfect, everything is set, everything is perfect. Because the last thing you want to do is put out a title, put out a product that will not only annihilate the fans, but just disappoint them in general. Because the thing is that as an artist, for me, I want to make sure that I give my audiences the best art content, and I post my best art videos and pictures on social media, because I want to give you the best of me. I want to give you the best of my videos, my artwork, of what I can do. Nobody is perfect, but I want to make sure that I satisfy you and I give you what you want to see, of what you want to watch. The same can be said about him. He wants to give the fans the best video games that they can get. Even if there have been some issues, they can always listen to the fans and they can always fix its bugs, fix its issues and hit detections and whatnot. You know, it's all about listening to the fans, and I just love what he said right here. Of course, many players were simply jazzed that this collection even happened in the first place. We had to ask how it came about and what conversations occurred between Capcom and Marvel, now owned by Disney, to produce this welcome gift to the fighting game scene. Matsudo also told us something surprising. Marvel is very much aware of the vibrant community of MVC players, and they still pay attention to competitive tournaments despite the most active games in the series being well over a decade old. And I remember when I was a kid and I was in elementary school, um, anytime we take a break from doing work, I used to always like to read comic books because of the artwork. But I keep seeing this advertisement that came out like years, like in the mid 90s, the Marvel superheroes. And I've always wanted to play that game so bad because I love the artwork. I love how the characters look, because I know it's made by Capcom. Well, it's made by Capcom, but to me, the thing is that I didn't get the Marvel superheroes. I got Marvel vs. Capcom 2 instead. But they're all in one game, and I had a blast playing it because I'm always reminded of playing the Marvel superheroes. But not too long ago, on my PlayStation app, not the PS5, but the app I downloaded from Google, I'm able to play that game. And it's hard for me though, because I just wanted to see how I play on my PS5 controller though. But I had to get used to the combat system, but it was worth it. I had a good time playing it, and I originally was gonna make a video of me playing it, but the combos are not really that easy for me. But I have to really practice on that before I decided to get my hands on the MVC fighting game collection, if I were to get good at it though, because the air combos are definitely a must. So you definitely need to bring your A game, because that's what happened to me the other day. So yeah, according to Masudo, both sides were keen on bringing this collection to life. And based on our conversation, it looks like future projects might hinge on players' overall interest in the collection of arcade classics. In terms of past Capcom development Marvel titles, this has been something that myself and the team have been wanting to re-release for years and years now. It was just a matter of timing and making sure that everyone was on board. We actually been in talks with Marvel for years now to see whether we can make this happen. And I'm glad that they're actually having like conversations before releasing this bad boy, because if you're just releasing this randomly without even talking to another company, then that's pretty much looking bad on Capcom's part, because that's like you releasing a video but not knowing that the video contains, well, it contains copyright claim. There are some clips in the video that contains copyright. So you might need to be careful of what you do. Whether you're making reaction videos or releasing video games without even talking with other people, with other parties. But as long as there's like a meaning and you're talking with the people without just randomly pushing stuff out for no apparent reason, then that's great. I'm glad that both Capcom and Marvel had a interesting talk. Had, had like an interesting meaning of releasing this game. They were also on board because of that. It's kind of like the stars align. The timing was great, and now we are actually able to bring it to life. We were all very excited, and some of the inspiration about doing this was that Marvel took notice of the community based on tournaments at places like Evo. With Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 and other Marvel tournaments happening, they know that people really love the series and really want these games to be available on modern platforms. So now is the chance for them to do so. And I'm glad they did that, because when I saw Marvel Superheroes and Marvel vs. Capcom 2, I was very ecstatic. In my other channel, I did a reaction. Well, I did a reaction to that. So if you want the link to that, the link will be down below, as well as this article. So yeah, when they announced that last month, I was very ecstatic about it, because this is my biggest opportunity to play all of these arcade classics that I never get to play since I was a child. I never played these games when I was young, but as an adult, I finally get that opportunity to play these games for the first time. And it's a good time to be a Marvel and Capcom fan overall. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about the DLC for a possible MVC title, because I think what the Power Rangers could do and what it could bring to the table, because the Power Rangers has a strong fan base and strong franchise, because the fans love Power Rangers the same way they love Marvel, they love Capcom, they love Street Fighter. But if they were to make a brand new Marvel vs. Capcom series, I think what they should do is make the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers as DLC characters, as well as the Megazord, and they could just create a brand new storyline and create a new Shattered universe. Let's say if Rita and Bison teamed up to like destroy his universe, and Bison is going to destroy the Power Rangers universe, and Rita is going to destroy the Street Fighter universe, and both generations of characters can collide with one another and just find ways of fighting each other before fighting Rita and Bison. That would be one of the coolest things if Capcom did that. Just think about the tag team assistant, because we all know tag teams work very well with the Marvel vs. Capcom series, because you can pretty much summon your friends fighting evil, and you can pretty much summon Ryu versus Jason, and King could just come up behind him and just beat the brakes out of Jason, and Jason can summon Tommy, and Tommy just uses Dragon Dagger as well as his martial arts and his famous Fire Dragon Ball he used in the Green Medieval Saga Part 1. And so just think about how crazy the assistance can look like, especially if it looks something like Mortal Kombat 1, if that were to happen. But at the end of the day, these are just something that I would like to happen, because I want to see the Power Rangers get more love in the fighting game community like they had in Power Rangers Battle for the Grid. That was great. But in terms of them adding them in the Street Fighter or the Marvel vs. Capcom fighting game as DLC, as well as the brand new storyline, like, you're gonna be getting the goods, the net codes, the rollback, the online matches are going to be 10 times insane. when the Power Rangers are in it, because that's what everybody is going to be focusing and playing with the most is the Power Rangers DLC characters in Marvel vs. Capcom 4 if that were to happen. So, like I say, these are just my ideas and my fantasy and my imagination of what I think needs to happen if Capcom were to make something like this happen. If they could just work, well, be in talks with Hasbro or Digital Games to bring the Power Rangers in Marvel vs. Capcom series, because the fans would go nuts at Evo, at E3, or at Comic Con, because that would be something incredible to see. So, what are your thoughts on this? What are your thoughts on the producer of the MVC Fighting Game Collection as well as Street Fighter 6 on bringing this game to life? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'm out.